You are listening live to the Vito and Vito Show.
Disrespectful to the executive branch.
I would remind you that extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice.
Don't sign the damn deal, and the president will...
Therefore, I do not believe that the majority can vote a man's life or property or freedom away from him.
And we're live here on the Vito and Vito Show. I'm Vito.
And I'm Vito.
Boy, do we have a lot to talk about this week. The Iowa caucus comes and goes. The Democrats shock us all. The Republicans shock us all. Allegations of cheating. Man, oh man, oh man. Man, oh man, O'Malley. You like that? All right. But it has been such a crazy ride. Not to mention the fact also that President Obama visiting a mosque this past week.
What?
Yeah, what? Apparently it was linked.
Was he praying?
Apparently it's linked, that mosque, to a radical Islamic group. I don't know. We're going to break it down for you right here on the Vito and Vito Show. Plus, forget about it moments of the week later on. I'm Vito again.
And I'm Vito.
That's right. In case you are missing what you're listening to, this is the Tom and Steve Show. And
Great.
Great. This is the Vito and Vito Show right now out of Brooklyn, New York. Vito, break it down to the good people at home, just what they're listening to.
You're listening to the Vito and Vito Show, and we are bringing you the perspectives of two college-age millennial conservative libertarians out of liberal hellhole Brooklyn, New York, where we're committed to defending the principles of freedom, free markets, and individualism. We hold no punches here on the show.
That's right. Here on the show, right. Political correctness out the door. You know that.
No, I think Donald Trump would like the show.
I think Donald Trump would probably get a kick out of us. I mean, we are from New York. We share them New York values with him.
Yeah, whatever that means.
But, man, we got a show for you, ladies and gentlemen. Let's not beat around the bush, because we got a lot to talk about. Number one, Vito.
Iowa caucus.
The Iowa caucus. Caucus, whatever you want to call it. First of all, last week on the program, we made a bet I said Ted Cruz was going to win the Iowa caucus. Vito said it was going to be Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. Well, I won.
I was only 6,000 votes off.
Yeah, well, it's still 6,000 too many, Vito. I got it right. I said Ted Cruz. I was right. Therefore, you have to now wear a Bernie Sanders T-shirt. Take a picture of it. And then you have to submerge yourself in a bucket of bleach.
You want to bet on New Hampshire?
I can bet on New Hampshire.
Really?
Yeah, I'll bet on New Hampshire, but we'll bet on it just a little bit later on in the program. Right. But man, oh man, Vito, what did you think? You were here with me watching the Iowa caucus, and as we were sitting in the basement of the Empire State Building, trying to get reception with our little TV antennas. What do you think, Vito, of this whole thing right now? Ted Cruz wins the Iowa caucus. I mean, I thought his ground game was, first of all, absolutely amazing.
That's why you won it.
Yeah, and when you look at stuff like that, that matters in an election. You could fill tons and tons of people in a stadium, but it does not carry over to victory.
Right, we saw the ground game with Ted Cruz, even Marco Rubio towards the end. Oh. I know the ground game was great. That's politics. That's how you get out the vote. But the question is, does Donald Trump have the ground game? I mean, he's killing it in the polls in New Hampshire. He's winning in the polls all across the country. But he was also winning Iowa, and he lost it. It's not that big of a loss. It's bigger because nobody can beat Trump.
Right.
That was the main thing. But, Ted Cruz got 8 delegates, I believe. Rubio and Trump got 7.
Right.
It's 1 delegate out with thousands more to go.
Oh, no, I mean, don't get me wrong.
So Donald Trump, it's not like this is over. All right, this was historic because how many people came out to vote. I get that. Right. But listen, this is far from over. And right now, Donald Trump is leading in the polls in New Hampshire. Last one was taken today. Real Clear Politics. He's up 32.5. Closest guy is Rubio, who is surging. Mm-hmm. But he's surging. He went from 9% to now 14%.
Yeah, well, I find it interesting that these surges, because of Donald Trump, the surges that everyone keeps talking about in the media, are very minuscule. 2, 3, 4 point change in your poll numbers, and apparently that's a surge. But Marco Rubio, I mean, I didn't expect him to finish third in Iowa. I did not expect him to finish third. I don't like him. I personally think he's a rhino. I think he's a liar. I think he's a deceitful politician. And I do not like Marco Rubio, and I think a lot of conservatives can agree with me on that. I mean, it's not just a Gang of 8 bill. It's also about him twisting around Ted's words and Trump's words and things like that. In
and
order
the
to make
establishment
his point.
money and the backers coming
Yeah.
out. But I saw Rubio coming in third because I didn't think Carson was going to pull too much. And then after that, you really got nobody. I mean, Rand Paul, Jeb Bush, Fiorina, they're not coming close. But I can see the establishment pick was Rubio. I can see him coming in third. I didn't expect him to come in within maybe a percentage or two of Donald Trump.
Well, neither did I. I mean,
That's close.
You saw Donald. First of all, I thought Donald Trump. In all seriousness, I didn't know that. I didn't think that he was going to win Iowa, but I thought he was going to have a great showing, and he pretty much did have a really good showing.
He came in second.
Yeah,
It was up there. He was definitely very close, and he got 7 delegates, one behind Cruz. So that's really what comes down to, not how much you polled or whatever. It's how many delegates you get at the end of the day, and he's one behind Cruz, expecting to win New Hampshire. Especially when you get to the bigger states, one delegate might not matter. Mm-hmm. One delegate might come down to the wire, but I don't think it's going to be. I don't think he's going to lose the nomination because of one delegate he lost in Iowa to Cruz.
No, but I think it matters in terms of momentum building and stuff like that. I mean, you're finishing first, and Ted Cruz does that. The question is, does this momentum carry over for Teddy in New Hampshire, in South Carolina, in Nevada, in Puerto Rico, in Guam? You know, those
Virgin Islands,
those key swing states there for the nomination. But you know, Vito, you look at the issues here. You got to ask yourself: is this something big? Is Ted Cruz's victory something big? How historic was it? First of all, let's get one thing straight. Ted Cruz is a conservative, and I challenge anybody to come on the program and challenge me on that point, because he is a conservative. I think he's one of the more conservative, if not the most conservative senator that we currently have. Maybe he
next to Rand Paul.
I would say next to Rand, but also more closely next to Mike Lee. Those three guys are powerhouses. I don't care what you say. So when you look at the issues like that, that matters. And when you look at Ted Cruz, here's a guy that's a conservative that wins Iowa. And he wins Iowa by sticking to his conservative principles. I really haven't heard Ted. You can't really say Ted Cruz waffled on anything. I mean, you could try to make the case for immigration, but if you go back to past episodes of the program, I think we pretty much handled that issue. Amanda Carpenter, who used to work for Ted Cruz, basically details his strategy and why he put in a lot of those amendments for the Gang of Eight bill to defeat what Marco Rubio co-wrote, co-sponsored, was pushing for, fighting for amnesty in the Marco Rubio camp, and why Ted Cruz did what he did in terms of offering amendments and trying to fight that. But you can't really say Ted Cruz lost. You can't say Ted Cruz won because he's a rhino, because he has a lot of money behind him, because he's got the establishment. He's got none of that. He doesn't have that Romney/McCain flavor. He's got a completely different set of cojones going out there when he's out on the campaign trail. And you know what the most important thing about this is, Vito, is that he is sticking to his principles, and that's how he won. He won by sticking to his principles, and I find that to be admirable. And it should act as a roadmap for other candidates when they decide to run in the future.
But now, going to New Hampshire, I don't see Cruz or anybody aside from Trump taking New Hampshire. I mean, 32%, the closest is Rubio. That's almost 20 points behind him.
Yeah,
but I mean, Rubio has had a surge the last couple of days of 4%. Cruz is around there, but also Jeb Bush is getting up there. He had a little increase from like nothing to 10%.
Yeah, well,
and Kasich's still there. I know Kasich and Christie are waiting for those results to see if they can get some delegates and some momentum. But Christie's dropped, and Kasich, I believe, he's been going up a little bit.
But it doesn't matter, because here's the deal: when you look at it like this, you're gonna have to. People are always gonna make this case. Iowa's a more conservative state. Ted Cruz can't win. A more conservative candidate cannot win. In the general election, we hear all this stuff all the time. They say the same thing about Donald Trump. Oh, he might have won a couple of states, but he's not able to win the general election. But the problem I have with all this nonsense is that in the general election, you want someone as conservative as possible to go up against what's going to be one of the most liberal, scariest candidates in the Democrats, and what they have to offer the United States, and probably in Bernie Sanders. Because I'm telling you right now, that guy is going to get the nomination. And we're going to talk about the Democratic mess in just a second. But on this topic of candidates surging in the polls, like Chris Christie or Jeb Bush, it's all malarkey, and I'll give you this why. It doesn't matter. You see, it does not matter. Ted Cruz, Donald Trump, Marco Rubio. It's going to be those three. I'm telling you now. They got the best ground game out of all three of them. Out of all the candidates, those three have the best ground game. Donald Trump is Donald Trump, and that's where the money is. Jeb Bush, John Kasich, they're going to make the distinction that New Hampshire is a more moderate state. But I don't see how any of these establishment/moderate candidates in Kasich, Christie, Bush, even Rubio can make a strong case and a strong showing in the South. I don't know how they're going to pick up delegates in Alabama. I don't know how they're going to pick up steam and momentum in South Carolina. I don't know how they're going to pick up steam and momentum in Georgia, in Tennessee, and things like that, in the heartland of conservatism. Vito, explain to me just how the hell these guys intend on getting support. I don't see it. I see the support rallying behind Trump, Cruz, and Rubio.
That's why I think it's going to be a three-man race. Because I can see Christie dropping out soon along with Casey after New Hampshire. Carson Fiorina, they're at the bottom. And then, of course, Jeb, I don't know what he's hanging on for. The establishment's moved on. America's moved on from him. But I can see a three-man race. You got the conservative, the establishment, and Donald Trump. And I think I can see Donald Trump taking more votes away from the conservative Ted Cruz than Rubio. Rubio he tied Donald Trump with delegates. So it's not like Rubio is really trailing. He's right there, and they're both one delegate right behind Ted Cruz. Mm-hmm. And I would still say Ted Cruz is still behind Donald Trump. It's not like you took the lead from Trump because you won Iowa. Donald Trump is still the front runner in every poll.
Right. George H.W. Bush wins Iowa. Rick Santorum won Iowa officially. Yeah.
But I mean, there's a lot more. There's 49 other states. But the thing is, this momentum. So this definitely helped Cruz coming from, he's going to do terrible, he's too conservative, to winning Iowa and having momentum and the money and doing well. Jeb Bush spent the most money and did terrible. Cruz and Trump, who obviously spent nothing, right? He spent no money at all in Iowa, but he might buy a farm. These guys have the campaign, the groundwork, the polls, and the money to continue into the South. After New Hampshire, South Carolina, when you get into the Bible Belt, where I can see Ted Cruz doing well, unless Trump convinces people that he is a very conservative Christian.
Well, I mean, it's tough because I don't know. It's too early to tell. See, I wish we were like the Democrats in this only instance in that, it has two candidates who are basically neck and neck in the polls. And I wish you can get a clear barometer of that. But instead, you got votes being split every different way. Marco Rubio is apparently picking up support from Rand Paul supporters. Ted Cruz is also picking up support from Rand Paul supporters. Rand Paul dropping out of the race earlier in the week. Huckabee, too, another one that's dropped out on election night for the Iowa caucus. Yeah. So, Rick Santorum's another one. So a lot of these guys are dropping out of the race.
He backs Rubio.
Right, Rick Santorum backed Rubio. Right? Yeah. Now the question is, where are those voters going to go? And that's what matters. I mean, voters in Jeb's camp, Christie's camp, Kasich's camp, they're all going to flock over to Marco, and that's going to give him a boost. And another thing, too, about Marco Rubio that I just want to talk about is that it's complete BS. Ever since this guy came in third, he makes it seem like he won the election, number one. And number two, ever since he came in third, this guy has been going around claiming to change his message by saying he's going to unite the Republican Party, the conservative movement, blah, blah, blah. This guy is the most divisive politician. The most divisive candidates on the right in order to unify this party. It's impossible. He is not going to be the guy to do it. He is not what the grassroots wants.
Wasn't Paul Ryan supposed to do that?
Yeah, Paul Ryan said he was going to do it. John Boehner said he was going to do it. George W. Bush said he was going to do it. George H.W. Bush, Bob Dole, you name it, I can tell you a list of who's going to unify the party. But notice that the problem is that, or the main issue here, is that Ted Cruz, Donald Trump, none of these guys say they're going to start unifying and drawing bridges and singing Kumbaya and all this nonsense. But they say they're going to fight for what they believe in. Donald Trump says he's going to build a wall. Ted Cruz says he's going to institute or abolish the IRS and institute the flat tax. These or repeal Obamacare. So these issues matter. And these issues are what these guys are going to fight for. They have said this is what they're going to do. Marco Rubio, on the other hand, is so focused on uniting the party, so his new campaign message is, that he's just trying to shill in moderate Republican voters, moderate voters in New Hampshire, independent voters, and he's playing the same strategy as Mitt Romney and John McCain. He's trying to isolate conservatives, and he's trying to pick up independents and people in the middle. Not a very good strategy seeing the results of the last two elections.
Absolutely, but I was saying before, it's going to be, we can't even have a brokered convention. Don't forget about that with the RNC in a couple months.
Yeah.
Because you got a three-way race now.
And they do not the two guys at the top, Trump and Cruz.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're going to be the establishment's behind Rubio now. So you can have a brokered convention come time, because you're going to take the votes away from whoever's in the lead. Mm-hmm. I can see Rubio taking votes away from both Cruz and Trump. So that's going to be interesting to see.
It is going to be interesting to see, and the question is just how much momentum has Rubio gained. I didn't fear him before, but I fear him now, and I think you need to be concerned too, America, because when you look at Marco Rubio, you're looking at a guy who is going to be picking up support from moderate Republicans candidates and their supporters when they start dropping out. Jeb's going to leave. Christie's going to leave. Kasich's taking a walk. Who's going to pick up those votes? I do not think that they're going to go to Ted Cruz or Donald Trump. I think those voters are pretty much not capped, but those voters have a specific identity, a specific philosophy. I don't see Marco Rubio as a principled conservative who's going to fight for America. I don't see it. Second of all, this guy also is content on stripping away Americans' Fourth Amendment rights, as Rand Paul highlighted. He wants to set up the Patriot Act. He wants to reinstate it. He says Ted Cruz is an isolationist. He's
a fearmonger.
Yeah, that's what he is. And that's what I don't like about Marco Rubio, and it's very much an establishment card. It's very much what Mitt Romney was doing to Ron Paul or what he was doing to Newt Gingrich back in 2012. And I think issues like that need to be highlighted because Marco Rubio is going to become a threat in the nomination process, and he's going to probably gain momentum and speed because he's going to be able to pick up where other people have failed. He's going to pick up those Jeb supporters.
The scary part is he's such a good politician. I mean, you go to hear this guy speak. We've been covering events. We see him a lot. Mm-hmm. And he's a nice guy, down to earth. Can really talk to people. I'm telling you, when I see him, I want to have a drink with him. Yeah. Marco Rubio.
I think he wants to have a drink with you, too. There are reports also that Marco Rubio is a homosexual man. Did you see these reports going around?
I was reading something. I think the Washington Post might have quoted something.
Well, the Washington Post said they talked about Marco Rubio's summer back in 1990, or around that time, when he was a teenager in Florida. He was hanging out at a park that was known for drugs and underage drinking and gay sex, and apparently Marco Rubio got picked up there for hanging out after dark. But by association, the Washington Post is saying that this guy's, he swings for the other team.
He might have just been there hanging out. Like you go to the gay clubs just for the music, right, Vito?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, cut him a break. I think there's worse things about Marco Rubio that we can talk about. That.
Yeah, when you look at it like this, ladies and gentlemen, you have to understand that I don't know if he is, if he isn't. I mean, the political insider hopped on it too. But I give it this much. I think Marco Rubio is very pleased to be in a threesome with Donald Trump and Ted Cruz. That's all I have to say. That's that's what I think.
I forgot what I was saying. Oh, yeah, Rubio. He's a great politician. Yeah. Very friendly, down to earth. People love him. Right? The young people like him. Right? It's all great, but then it's fake. Okay? You can see through. You can see what he's doing, what he's saying, and his tactics. But when you go hear him speak, you forget all that. Especially these middle of the road voters. The people who don't follow politics and listen to conservative radio are gonna go for that. That's the thing. Especially the same thing with Donald Trump. Yeah. You know what I mean? Going there speaking and be anti-political correctness, call people bimbo. People like that.
But
stuff.
I'll defend Trump because I know you don't like to defend him so much. I will defend him in this regard. I will say Donald Trump has brought something completely new to the presidential game. I've never seen this before in a candidate. I don't think anybody has seen this before. He's putting political science professors out of business. That's how good and crazy Donald Trump is. He's completely different, which makes him Donald Trump.
And he's doing good with it.
He's doing great, not just good. He's going to win New Hampshire. He's going to win it huge. Everyone's going to be, I guarantee you, after New Hampshire, people are going to be so concerned about second, third, and fourth place that no one's going to give a damn about first place. And Donald Trump is going to not only win New Hampshire, He's not only going to win it big, but he's going to take home a lot of delegates. He's going to take the delegate lead. And at this point, you got to ask yourself this question: is Donald Trump inevitably going to get the nomination? I think the only challenger, legitimately, to Donald Trump is Ted Cruz. Because after the break, we're going to talk about Ted Cruz. Is he cheating since his Iowa win? Did he cheat in order to win Iowa? Well, Ben Carson seems to think so, and I want to sit here and talk about this issue one-on-one with another Vito right here on the Vito and Vito Show.
Who might you save?
Your mother, your father, your husband, uncle, aunt, son.
Learn FAST, F-A-S-T, the sudden signs of a stroke, and you could save.
Your friend, teacher, boss.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. F-A-S-T. That's F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. The sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in the recovery of
your neighbor, the waiter, grandmother, grandfather.
So learn FAST, the sudden signs of a stroke, then pass it on, because you never know who might save you.
Your wife, your colleague.
Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
Hey, Vito.
Hey, Vito.
There's a movement in healthcare today.
It's a movement of people that's ready to stand up and take charge of their healthcare.
It's people like you and me who are tired of paying too much for healthcare and getting too little.
People who are standing up for their values and letting their conscience make decisions based on timeless principles.
It's a movement that's sweeping the nation, and you need to be a part of it.
Liberty HealthShare is leading the movement of people who are looking for an alternative to traditional health insurance.
Liberty HealthShare is a healthcare sharing organization of people who are sharing the cost of healthcare in an easy and efficient way.
Choose your own doctor, your own hospital, and live out your values in healthcare.
Join the movement. Together, we're changing healthcare for good.
Go to www.joinlhs.com or call 800-722-8041. That's 800-722-8041.
Welcome back here to the Vito and Vito Show. Check out the website, www.vitoandvito.com. Give us a follow on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Vito and Vito Show. Do me a favor, go over to vitoandvito.com. Want to give us a quick plug right now. Go on over to vitoandvito.com. We've been on TV recently. We're putting up all those clips right there on the Vito and Vito Show. Check it out. www.vitoandvito.com. We got interview clips on different television programs. Dennis Michael Lynch Unfiltered. You're going to love the stuff that we got to talk about on there. Check out Vito and Vito on BK Live, a local show in Brooklyn. If you're out in Iowa, New Hampshire, Canada, or maybe Germany, go ahead. Go to the website, www.vitoandvito.com. And I want you to check out these awesome interviews we have with our other reporter friends out there. It's really it's pretty cool to sit there and give commentary on television so people could hear, as well as our good friend Dr. Gina, American Trends with Dr. Gina. So all of our clips, all of our video clips up on www.vitoandvito.com, our newest television appearances. Hear what we have to say. You'll probably like it. All right, Vito, here's the deal. We're talking about Ted Cruz. Did he cheat in Iowa? Apparently, Ben Carson is claiming that Ted Cruz is playing dirty campaign tricks. Same old politics. Like a boss tweed. Is this true? I'm going to take the position that this is absolute nonsense, but Vito will fill you in on the story in case you haven't heard.
Well, this would happen. Ted Cruz. The media was reporting that Dr. Ben Carson was taking a break from his campaign. Even Congressman Steve King was tweeting and talking about this. But Ted Cruz's people, the campaign, sent out an email to supporters saying, "Dear blank, breaking news, the press is reporting that Dr. Ben Carson is taking time off from the campaign trail after Iowa and making a big announcement next week. Please inform any Carson caucus goer of this news and urge them to caucus for Cruz. For Liberty, Spence Rogers."
That's some guy on the campaign. I mean, look, here's the deal. CNN And we were watching CNN. I mean, if you were following the coverage, you know CNN talked about this. Dana Bash, whatever her name is, on CNN, that crazy liberal woman who loves Bernie and Hillary and hates every Republican that walks in the room. She was sitting there, and she basically just said straight out, Ben Carson is taking a break. He's going to get new clothes, but he can't. You know, we heard this excuse that later on Ben Carson clarified and said, "Well, I'm not suspending the campaign. I'm not dropping out. I am going to get a change of clothes." He's stopping home to get a change of clothes.
Yeah, in Florida.
But that took about a 15-minute break in between the news that Ben Carson was taking a break from the campaign, and then 15 minutes later, Dana Bash said, "Well, no, it wasn't like that. He's a clarified statement of what Ben Carson actually meant." So all this talk that Ted Cruz, and it's been going on for a couple of days, and I find this to be ridiculous. All this talk that Ted Cruz cheated doesn't make any sense. If you look at the timing of everything, you have the CNN report that Ben Carson's taking a break. Ted Cruz's mailer goes out. And then you have Dana Bash basically correcting what she said. Ted Cruz has apologized. Him and the campaign have apologized for what happened. But is this deceitful and is this dirty politics?
I don't think so. I mean, listen, it did not decide Iowa. Okay, Carson got 17,000 votes. Cruz got 51,000.
I mean, even before...
I don't think this swayed 6, 7, 10,000 people.
But even if, I mean, you still had this issue here. Ben Carson was around 10% in the polls prior to the election, to the actual to the actual caucus, and then after the caucus, he pretty much finishes around 10%. So you can't even say there was this notable difference. I could see if, like, you know, Donald Trump made this mistake, and you saw him go from, what was he in Iowa, like 20-something% down to 5%. Then I could see it. Maybe there's a correlation here, but I don't really see the
correlation. He's been dropping since November.
Yeah, I don't see Ben Carson.
Yes.
Yeah, haven't seen really the correlation between Ben and Iowa, and what he said and what CNN was saying, and then Ted Cruz. I just don't see how these two go together. I'm dying to know how people want to spin it and say that these two actually do go together. I mean, I can see why. I haven't seen any other candidate basically say, and this is where I see Ted Cruz mess up a little bit, but I still don't think it's the be-all, end-all. I haven't seen any other candidate that has ever taken another candidate's words like that, like suspending the campaign or leaving the campaign trail or something of that nature, and has implied it to mean, this person is therefore, this vote isn't useful practically in the long run, so just come on down and vote for me. I haven't really ever seen that before. This whole idea of an email going out like that so quickly, we got to also understand this has to do with technology and of the time. This is brand new. We haven't seen an email service like this happen on the day of the caucus.
It's like when Rand Paul dropped out. He said, listen, great for him to be in the race. We appreciate what he's done, but we welcome his supporters. That's what he said. Everybody drops out. Of course, you want to pick up the supporters. You know, what happens when Jeb Bush drops out? Where are his voters going to go? You know, the other candidates going to try to fight over and encourage those people to come on and help them out.
Yeah.
You know, just like that. But I don't think that's as big of a deal, because what else also happened in Iowa was the voter registration mailer that Ted Cruz sent out, basically sending out to caucus goers. Ted Cruz said that, here's your public record of your voting.
Well, it wasn't a voter, just for the record, it wasn't a voter registration record. It was a voter...
Caucus.
No, but it was a voter scorecard. It basically said, did you vote in the last X amount of elections? And if you had loan... And it put a bunch of, not just the person that it was being mailed to, but all of their, or good, like 5, 6 of their neighbors.
Where all X is saying you didn't vote in the last couple of primaries, caucuses.
Like you got a D,
so
you got an A,
you got an F, you got
C.
this. So you should come out and vote and help out your scoring, encourage your neighbors. So some people took offense to this. But what got me questioning was Breitbart reported on this. But the people that were asking who got offended, they were saying, I'm voting for Rubio anyway. But now this made me really not vote for Cruz. Like, you're not voting for him anyway.
Yeah, I never really...
You know, stuff like that. But here's the kicker. Marco Rubio said that that's wrong and you shouldn't do that. Mm-hmm. Then it turns out Rubio sent out basically the same mailer. Very similar.
He did. Yeah, well, you can check that out on www.vitoandvito.com. Got an article up there basically explaining that Marco Rubio Sent out pretty much the same mailer again. So, but I think they're two different mailers. I mean, the issue here at hand.
They were extremely similar.
Yeah, no. I think they're two different mailers for Cruz. I mean, I'm not so much focused on the scorecard, the voter scorecard. I'm more focused on this email that he sent out about Ben Carson. I mean, I don't know if this is enough to end his campaign. Certainly he's been taking a hit for it. I mean, people are constantly questioning him about it. And I think it put a damper on the celebration in Iowa. But to say that Ted Cruz completely, stole the election like Donald Trump is saying, I think it's a little ridiculous because I don't see him stealing any election when Ben Carson's numbers are pretty much the same before and pretty much the same afterwards. I don't see the difference.
So he didn't sway voters.
I don't think he did. I mean, there's no empirical evidence to say that he did. So it's pretty much circumstantial. And then take it to a next level. I mean, you got to look at what CNN said, which I don't know why people are so content. And even Fox News, a lot of the media was saying it. So I don't understand how people are quick to attack Cruz for this as if he completely lied. When they say taking a break from the campaign trail, what does that mean? Who the hell takes a break from the campaign trail?
And even and really the excuse to go get clothes?
But did Ted Cruz in the email, did it say that Carson is suspending his campaign?
No, he's taking time off from the campaign trail.
That is
after Iowa.
Yeah, that's effectively what he's doing.
And then the campaign says no. He's on the road for 17 days and needs fresh clothes. So you go home? Literally?
Well, I think it was a figure of speech, but the more important thing here is this.
Yeah, but what does that mean? Like, you need a breather? What is taking time off? What does that mean? Going on vacation?
Well, the National Prayer Breakfast was in town, so he wanted to attend that. And CNN talked about that. Fox News also was elaborating on that, too.
Right, but I don't think Cruz was saying, hey, he's dropping out, come vote for me instead. It's more like, this guy's taking a break. How is he going to campaign and become president if he's taking a break after Iowa? What, New Hampshire and South Carolina? These are big states.
Yeah, well,
the primary season has begun.
I know.
Are you going to take a break?
I don't think that this was as decisive and this was as devious. I think at the end of the day, what this was an email that was put out. I think it was just good timing. I mean, really, that's just that. You keep digging here. And you either like Cruz or you don't. Either, if this really changes your vote, then you really got to look at the facts. I don't really see how Ted Cruz is completely wrong here, or if he's wrong at all. What I see is just CNN reporting, the news, in particular CNN, but the news reporting this issue, Ted Cruz sending out an email capitalizing on this issue, and then CNN and the media basically correcting themselves. And that's that. I mean, Ted Cruz also put out his campaign put out a transcript of the CNN report detailing exactly what CNN said and how it corresponds exactly word for word with the email that was sent out by Ted Cruz. So you cannot say that this is just a bunch of nonsense and cheating on Ted's part, because I don't really see it. The facts pretty much back up Ted on this issue. And more importantly, you got to look at it this way as well. If you just want to look at evidence-wise, I don't see no indication of Ben losing votes as a result of this email, because his numbers pretty much haven't changed, and there's really been no recorded evidence of testimony of people coming out in Iowa saying, I changed my vote because of Ted Cruz's email.
And it's not illegal. I've heard people tell me this was illegal. At least a misdemeanor or anything like this. It's ridiculous. I think there's people overplaying the email and just trying to pick at things for Cruz and just go after him for nonsense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. But I give you this nonsense that's going on, though. I will say the Democratic debate, I'm sure everybody saw this, right? All the Democratic debates and the town halls of Hillary and Bernie.
On Saturday nights and in the middle of the night, right? That's when they hold them?
Right after the Cinemax. Right after Wet and Wild, but and then you had Democratic debates. But what you saw was just in Iowa. We're talking about the Democratic results here. Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton, by the way, wins by not just one, not two, not three, but 6 coin tosses in 6 different counties.
Coin tosses.
Yeah, because
democracy.
According to the Democratic Socialism, democracy, Democratic Party, democracy, one of the principal foundations of the left, taken and thrown out the window under the Iowa Democratic Party's rules.
Right, because the rules of the DNC says if it's a tie or really close to call, they do a coin toss. So not even if it's a virtual tie, maybe do a coin. I can see your reasoning for a coin toss. But if it's very close, too close to call. I don't know, how about counting the damn votes?
Well, I don't see how. First of all, it's not the DNC. It's the Democratic Party of Iowa. Every state comes up with their own thing. But pretty much, yeah, the DNC equivalent in Iowa. Yeah. But the issue here is Vito's got a point. I mean, I'm against this whole concept of a coin toss to begin with. What the hell are you flipping coins for in an election? It's not how this works. You don't flip a coin to determine who's the next president. What kind of consent of the government is that? You mean to tell me a coin holds as much power as a human being's mind to cast a vote? You just realize how sick the Democratic Party is? Do you understand just how sick and demented these people are?
Yeah, that doesn't.
There's really something wrong with them. And Hillary Clinton, not for nothing, won 6 out of 6 coin tosses.
That might be statistically impossible.
Okay.
That's tough. 6 out of 6? She should go bet the lotto.
Yeah, really. But this broad was able to win it. And I got to say, Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders' final results, I think it came down, Vito, correct me if I'm wrong, 49.8 to 49.6 for Bernie. I mean,
it was extremely close.
Yeah, I mean, it was so close. So close.
And Hillary, I think, has maybe 2 or 3 more delegates as results than Bernie.
Yeah, I mean,
but regardless of who won, this is a win for Bernie Sanders.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because he was nowhere near Hillary in the beginning. Hillary had the presidency, remember?
Yeah, the beginning of his campaign. And everyone laughed at me when I said Bernie Sanders is going to get the nomination, and I still believe that to this day. I think he's going to win in New Hampshire. You're going to feel the burn in... What?
He's up big there, too.
Yeah, you're going to feel the burn in your paycheck, and you're going to feel the burn in the polls when Bernie blazes right through Hillary in New Hampshire. He's going to pick up a lot of steam. I think he's going to even pick up steam down in the South. Now, you're trying to say to me, oh, the South is more conservative, obviously, than the North. Well, listen to me. Save that Civil War stuff for tomorrow. Liberals are liberals. They're scary. They're crazy. They're stupid, and they do not think logically. And I'm telling you right now, you will see, the Democratic Party shift radically to the left in order to support Bernie Sanders. The amount of support amongst young people, over 90%, ladies and gentlemen, according to entrance polls, young people supported Bernie Sanders. Over 90%. It gets better. First-time voters love Bernie Sanders. He outnumbers Hillary there. Bernie, in terms of people who you trust, outnumbers Hillary in terms of trustworthiness and integrity. Mm-hmm. Bernie gets that because of his principled stances, which I can't really argue with. I mean, the guy is pretty principled.
Right, and these aren't just polls and statistics and numbers. We were in the city today, New York City.
Yeah.
Right, we're recording on TV off our Newsmax, and we're asking the people in the street questions, right? The man on the street action. And every young person, looked like they're maybe around college age, every single one supported Bernie Sanders.
Mm-hmm.
Not kidding. Why? They don't know why.
They can't
ask a question. I swear.
If you ask any young college student who supports Bernie Sanders, why do you support this man? Why do you support a 74-year-old socialist? Why, more importantly, do you support a 74-year-old socialist from Brooklyn?
Not Vermont.
No, he's from Brooklyn.
That's not Vermont accent.
Okay, he's got a hunch on his back when he speaks. You ever see him speak? He bends over because he can barely stand straight. So ask these kids to explain to you their reasonings as to why they support Bernie. Ask them just how much money their social programs would cost the country. FYI, it cost over $18 trillion. Yeah, $18 trillion to institute universal health care, free college for all, paid maternity leave, peace, land, and bread, like Vladimir Lenin said in the Soviet Union. This stuff is going to cost over $18 trillion. But fear not, ladies and gentlemen. The young people of America apparently love Bernie Sanders so much that they know exactly what he's talking about, how he's going to pay for it. Right, Vito? Right? These kids are obviously very knowledgeable.
No,
I completely lied to you. These kids are dumb. They're rocks. They're just rocks. They're just, rocks have no logic and they don't think.
Democrats.
They're Democrats. These are what these kids are. And the worst part about this all is that at the end of the day, these kids' minds are being manipulated not just by Bernie, not just by the Democratic Party, but by their liberal college professors who are pent up and keen on getting these kids to blindly support a 74-year-old Democratic socialist who in no way, shape, or form represents any aspect or any fiber of the American culture. This man thinks the American Revolution was an illegitimate fight because it has to deal with individual rights and freedom. But he thinks that, that the Cuban Revolution and how he went to go hang out with the Nicaraguas was obviously a more justified and righteous revolution that for equality and fairness. But at the end of the day, I want everyone to listen good. Make one thing clear: Bernie Sanders is going to co-opt young minds. And that's going to be the basis of his support, like Barack Obama had. He's going to grab as many young people as possible. Mm-hmm. He's going to start his political revolution, and he's going to honestly, this is what I feel, but I think the numbers are going to support me. Bernie Sanders will become the Democratic nominee in 2016. He's going to beat Hillary because the Democratic Party is pissed. They're more liberal, and they want to go with someone way more extreme. So when I hear this talk of Donald Trump or Ted Cruz getting, they're too extreme, they're too conservative. But Bernie Sanders is on the left, and he is an icon for these schmucks, and that's the scariest thing, Vito, because they're absolute hypocrites. They say that Michelle Bachmann was crazy. They say Sarah Palin was crazy. They say all these conservatives are crazy, but they think Bernie is this logical genius who came out of God's hands, when in reality, this guy doesn't know exactly what he's talking about, and I guarantee you he doesn't know his ass from his elbow.
I hope Bernie Sanders gets the nomination.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
this would definitely help the Republican candidate, because I can't see a socialist winning the general election in America. I can't see a socialist doing that.
I mean, the country's center-right, so let's get one thing straight. The country is center-right, and we will break down those statistics and more Forget About It moments of the week right here on the Vito and Vito Show. We're going to break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after.
Fighting the Common Core standards? Need a powerful tool to help inform others on this harmful education initiative? You're covered with Common Ground on Common Core, the collection of essays by 20 top education experts and activists. Reviewers call it the best single resource on the topic. You can share it with literally anyone. Order your print or digital copy of Common Ground on Common Core today. Just visit resoundingbooks.org. That's resoundingbooks.org. And get $2 off when you tell them Vito and Vito sent you. Paid for by Resounding Books Pack.
So what is behind enemy lines anyway?
This is the true story of two friends living in the People's Republic of New York City who work together and have their conversations taped to find out what happens when conservatives stop being politically correct and start getting real. We are Behind Enemy Lines. Watch your wallets. Thursdays at 1 on WNJC, part of the Conservative Commandos Radio Network.
Vito and Vito are back here on the airwaves. Check out the website, www.vitoandvito.com. Give us a follow on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And like we said, head on over to www.vitoandvito.com. Check out some interviews that we've been doing on television. Check out our Man on the Street segment, our Forget About It segment on the Dennis Michael Lynch Unfiltered show. Come on, you're going to love it. Check it out, www.vitoandvito.com. We got some cool stuff up there from our past television experiences, as well with our past articles, old episodes, the archives on the Vito and Vito show's website, www.vitoandvito.com. Vito, I just want to stress this point before we go into our Forget About It moments of the week. I want to stress the point of the country being center-right.
Mm-hmm.
I want to stress this point on two particular issues. Number one, look at all the state legislatures right now. Under Barack Obama's term, majority of the state legislatures are Republican. Governorship, pretty much Republican. The Senate, the United States Senate, Republican. United States House of Representatives, Republican.
Biggest since, I think, the 20s?
Yeah. So I just want to make one thing clear. The Tea Party wave happens under Barack Obama. The Tea Party wave is far more energized and far more organized than Occupy Wall Street and the rest of the leftist crap. I also want to stress the point that every time we talk about gay marriage and the changing tide of gay marriage, I want people to understand just how strong conservatism is, or the idea of social conservatism, at least, in this country. You take a look at every single state that put gay marriage up for a vote as a referendum. Every state that put that up to a vote, the issue of gay marriage, it was voted down. People wanted to keep marriage between a man and a woman. I, as a libertarian, think that marriage should be with anybody. I don't care. Get it out of government altogether. That's just a disclaimer. Doesn't matter. The point is this. Social conservatism is very strong. Take a look at the amount of support that Kim Davis had. Take a look at polls. If you ask individual people at individual spots in the country, Pew Research will guarantee this. The majority of the country is pro-life, not pro-choice. I don't see this changing tide of liberalism washing over the shores like MSNBC, CBS, NBC. Aspects of Fox are going to want to know when they say the Republican Party needs to rebrand themselves. It's not the case. Not the case. The numbers do not support the left's arguments. Just want to make that point very clear. So I want Bernie Sanders to get the nomination. I hope he gets the nomination, because if he does get the nomination, at the end of the day, I'm telling you right now, Bernie Sanders will lose the same way Eugene Debs lost. He was a socialist who ran for president, and he got like 70% of the vote. That's as much as Sanders is going to carry. The rest of this country loves their life, their liberty, and their property, and they are not going to let it go. Granted, a lot of kids are going to vote for Bernie. A lot of Democrats are going to vote for Bernie, but they do not outnumber Republicans in this country, or at least the idea, the philosophical idea, it's not going to pass.
And even those independents who come to the right before they go full socialist.
Yeah, they're not going to do that. They're not.
You might fight between Democrats, Republicans, these moderates, but you're getting extreme far left socialists here. This is not a Democrat.
My favorite is when you ask some people, you're like, who are you voting for in 2016? And some people are going to say, I'm sort of torn between Bernie and Rand Paul, or Bernie and Ted Cruz. Or my favorite, I'm sort of torn between Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump. But I'm like, these two choices can't be as further apart as anything else. Once you ask somebody, who do you think should be president, and they say either Bernie or Ted, Bernie or Rand, Bernie or Donald, you know right off the bat that these people do not know anything about politics. This is their first time voting, and you know what the scary part is? They're going to vote for tyranny and socialism. Listen, I'm done talking because it's that time of the week again.
What?
Forget about it moment.
Forget about it. Forget about it. Forget about it. Paul, forget about it.
That's right. Forget about it moments of the week right here on the Vito and Vito Show with two guys from Brooklyn named Vito. We're going to put the word forget about it in our segment, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about it. These are the craziest moments that have ever happened this past week in the world. We break it down, and in Brooklyn we have a term for crazy things that happen like this. We say forget about it. Vito, what's our first forget about it moment of the week?
In 2013, new reports are showing that Russia practiced dummy nuclear attacks against NATO and dummy nuclear attacks against Sweden. They practiced nukes and ran simulated tests against Sweden.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, so the Russians are attacking.
They're getting ready to.
Putin's hopping on his bear and off he goes. Wow, that's something. Well, should we be... Well, so much for that... The reset button, the Russian reset with Hillary Clinton. I mean, you ask people what are Hillary's accomplishments, and most of the times you get, she has foreign policy experience. She was Secretary of State.
Experience.
Yeah, she walks around. She said in the town hall the other night, she said, I have foreign policy experience. I was the Secretary of State under Barack Obama. After we had a fierce election, he chose me because he trusts me. And I'm like, lady, we can't even trust you to forward me an email. I can't trust you. Literally. I can't trust you. If you were the last person on earth, I can't trust you. If Jesus Christ came down and sat next to you and was vouching for you, there's no way in hell that I could trust you. Hillary is touting her foreign policy experience, yet this is the same woman that was responsible for setting the reset button, the resetting of relations with Russia, and just the way that's gotten us.
You got Putin riding a bear over there, and we got Obama here riding a unicorn.
Yeah, you see that stupid press conference when they pressed the reset button?
Yep.
Remember that?
Or like the easy button.
Yeah, you got to think of what the Russian president and the Russian administration was saying. They must have been like, this lady is as stupid as they come.
That's your Russian accent?
Yes.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, it's like Sean Connery with a Russian accent.
Right.
Do you want some vodka?
Vodka. Howdy the animal.
What's that second, Vito? Forget about it. Moment of the week.
A meetup called Return of the Kings. This popular blogger named Rush Valizadeh.
Okay.
He is known for supporting rape. legalizing rape.
Jesus.
And he had a bunch of events planned so his supporters can come meet him and advocate for legalization of rape, but he canceled it because of threats and security issues.
What a schmuck. What's our last forget about a moment of the week?
Well, I started a diet. I figured instead of having the Big Macs at McDonald's, I'll order their salads. But it turns out the salads are so much worse.
Really?
They're doing the study. Compared to a double Big Mac, these salads have almost 100 more calories, 20 more grams of fat, and almost a milligram more of salt.
Jesus. So, you know what? Eat healthy. Have a Big Mac.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that. We should make a T-shirt like that. Like, eat healthy, have a Big Mac, and then on the back you can like have comparisons.
Yeah,
salads versus Big Mac.
There you go. We'll sell those, and McDonald's will sue us or come after us.
Hey, I gotta forget about a moment. You know, Barack Obama visited a mosque this past week.
Doesn't he go there like every Sunday?
5 times a day, Vito. 5 times a day.
Oh, sorry.
No, but he did. He visited a mosque this past week, trying to, he's blaming Republicans. He says Islam is the best religion in the world.
Right, make it high, make it low.
Yeah, exactly. And he's he's highlighting the beauty of Islam and how it's not a religion. It's a religion of peace, and the terrorists misrepresent the religion.
72 virgins.
Yeah. Okay, so what I find crazy about this whole thing, Vito, is that, why is Barack Obama visiting a mosque? I mean, again, we're just continuing this notion that Islam is not responsible for any of these terrorist attacks that happen in the world.
ISIS isn't Islamic.
Yeah. It's only called
Islam
the Islamic
is
State. Yeah, the Islamic State. I mean, do you believe this? I mean, this is why Donald Trump and his whole idea of banning Muslims is such pretty much a good idea. Because he's telling you like it is, and he's telling you this. He's saying, hey, Islam is the problem. He's not just saying it's radical Islam. He's saying it's Islam. There's a problem with the interpretations of Islam, the religion of Islam, the fundamentals of Islam. And he's calling it out like he sees it. So, I mean, when you look at Donald Trump and you look at what he says about this issue, I think it's probably one of the more bolder stances as opposed to Barack Obama and what he talks about Islam as a religion of peace. Because let's get one thing straight, and we've said it on the show before, Islam is no religion of peace. I don't want to hear this nonsense that it is a religion of peace, because it isn't. Islam's a dangerous religion. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. It's a religion that, encourages murder if you leave the religion, or killing if you leave the religion, and stuff like that. It is a very dangerous religion, and is something that needs to be dealt with. I'm telling you now, it really is something to see the President of the United States, the leader of the free world, going to one of the more dangerous mosques. Advocating for one of the more dangerous religions in the country. And it is something that is absolutely, it's mind-boggling. I mean, I don't know what to say. I just cannot wait for him to leave office.
I just thought he was going there to pray like 5 times a day. Doesn't he usually do that?
Yeah, well,
Isn't this old news? Right? My thing with Islam, what if, 72 virgins are promised, right?
Right.
But what if they're all men?
Oh, good point.
Right?
72 hairy men.
I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah, well.
Even 72 female virgins, do you think that's worth it?
Ooh. Well, yeah. Yeah. The 72 men, absolutely not. The 72 female virgins, well.
Virgins.
Yeah, we can make an accommodation.
Great. You know what? I won't kill myself. And I'll work on Earth.
How about this?
72 virgins.
How about this? Yeah, we'll work on Earth. We'll make a scoreboard. We'll fill you in. 72 virgins. Who gets there first, me or you? All right, Vito, come on, quick. Give me your prediction for Iowa, for New Hampshire. Who's going to win?
Donald Trump.
Yeah, I say Donald Trump. There is no contest here. I think it's going to be Donald Trump.
Do you think Trump's going to show up to the New Hampshire debate?
Ready? How about this? Over or under Donald Trump? Do you think he's going to win? Let's, how do I put this? Do you think Donald Trump will win over or under 25%?
Over.
Yeah, I say over.
Well, that's no contest.
I say over. Yeah, I don't see it. You know what? No, for the sake of competition, Vito, being a good sport, I'll say under. I think Donald will get. I think under will get. I think Donald will get under 25%.
But we've done the Iowa one. I gotta wear a frickin' Feel the Burn T-shirt.
You gotta feel, and I don't know where to find them, so we're gonna go rob a college.
They give them away for free at colleges, right? For everybody.
There you go. Freedom, love, and peace.
Free,
Kumbaya.
free. Everything's free.
Here's the deal, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna go rob a college student of his Feel the Burn T-shirt, so Vito could dress up and wear one because he lost a bet. Right now, the Vito and Vito show signing off right here Because we want to let you know, in Brooklyn,
it's nothing but the truth.